Well, hey Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. In this episode, we'll be doing a review of the Gundam Universe Target exclusive Zaku 2 Char's custom from the origin. Not just a regular Zaku 2, not just a red Comet Zaku 2, but from the origin. I actually either forgot or had no idea this was coming. I was just at Target and there was just 6 of them on a peg, not even near the other Gundam Universe figures. I'm like, what? What a thing to find at Target. So yeah, let's jump in. All right, like I said, I just got this, so we're gonna be unboxing it right now. All right, let's see what we got here. So far, so good. I mean, this is cool. I mean, really, finding this at Target when I had no idea this would be there, very awesome. All right, let's take out the few accessories it has. All right, right out of the box, not only do you get the Zaku 2, you get the Heat Hawk, you get the machine gun, you get 2 other hands, which are either gripping or trigger finger, because on the unit itself, it has like the grip or the closed fists. And then, yeah, for the top of the machine gun, that's really cool that this is separate, so you can maybe recreate the Zaku 2 holding. Yeah, because there's some spot here for storage, so yeah, we'll look at that in a second. But really, I'm curious about the build of this, because again, and I talked about this recently in a short, where the Gundam Universe figures are interesting because I don't really think they're made for kids, but also they're not as adult collector as like a Robot Spirit. So I think this is a good in-between for someone that is into Gundam, but they're not so dedicated that they're going to buy the high-end figures. So it really is good that this type exists, because to be honest, as you know, someone I grew up love playing with action figures, I love that there are some cool designed Gundams that are in this price range. All right, and starting from the top, let's see what kind of articulation we got. You know, it seems like underneath there's quite a joint, but you don't really get too much range. You know what? Actually, yes. I just popped it off. So yeah, we can actually see that it is a ball joint that is on top of another potential ball joint at the bottom of the neck. That's actually pretty good. Oh, and then look at underneath here. I'm glad this came off, because maybe this is in the instructions. Is that for the mono eye? Let's see. Yeah, wow, this is a cool feature to have on this $24 figure. Very cool that they included that. Okay, ow. All right, got that back on. So yeah, the range, you can get a lot of range if you work with it. It will pop off, but you can put it back on easily. Okay, and then working down, I just want to kind of call out the red that is on here. Again, this is less of the pink that we see from the typical 0079 Zaku 2 that Char has, because Origin kind of gave it more of that red, but also real tight markings. Okay, so let's see the torso. This is interesting. But I'm kind of curious what this articulation is. It looks more like they're just trying to tie in the articulation with the engineering, which is fine, because it looks like it's like a separate piece down here. There's a top of the torso and then below the abdomen. Okay, so that kind of, it doesn't really give it much range, but it does like move. You can at least get some subtle movements out of it. I don't know. It seems limiting. Okay, let's see the legs and the skirt. So far, so good, actually, because these skirts seem to move very easily, and we're already getting some good spread. Yeah, if you wanted to get that Char kick in, I mean, we could do that in real okay, that came off, but that's probably a good thing instead of breaking off. Yeah, we could see there is a simple joint, and it's interesting, because I think part of what makes these cheaper is the engineering is almost like a little basic. It's not trying to hide joints, articulation, and I think that kind of helps reduce the price. Okay, well, I think I got that in, but anyway, let's see, yeah, about that Char kick. Again, we were just talking about. All right, I mean, I don't have anything to reference right in front of me. Wait, I have a computer with the internet. But I think you could probably play with it to get it really high. So that's actually, I gotta say, that's actually pretty good for something like this. I don't think that's completely accurate, and I think the animation does a little bit to kind of exaggerate. I still think this is pretty good. So considering that with the legs, does it have any sort of drop down there? No, it doesn't seem to, but that's fine, because these seem to be pretty good anyway in terms of getting the range it needs. And then, yeah, we got the knee looking pretty good there. So, you know, it's interesting. I think the tubing kind of pushes on it as you go up, maybe? or maybe not. I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be too big of a deal. There's something about the way that it just works, because it actually, this is different than on the Celery Zaku 2. So if you remember when I did the review of the Zaku 2 from Requiem for Vengeance, there was the issue where the way the tubing works on this, it would, yeah, there we go. It would stress and kind of put the white there on that joint. So it is interesting to see that at least with this they're doing something different, but it's really matching more of the source material. So it's interesting how often they won't reuse certain parts to keep things kind of close. I think it's the hands are the biggest deal when it comes to accuracy with this line. Okay, and then for the feet, yeah, so much articulation, it comes off easily. And then let's not forget the arms, which is, it's pretty good. That goes up quite a bit. And I mean, yeah, even with the shoulder here, let's see, you're still getting, I mean, you're getting a lot of crazy movement. It's pretty amazing how much articulation these things have. Okay, so for articulation, these are pretty much like the rest of the Gundam Universe, and I think these are good. For this price point, this is good articulation for a figure. Like, I could actually never complain about the articulation, I don't think, with these. I've never had an issue, just considering also that it is a robot. They don't necessarily need to be super dynamic, maybe the Seed ones in particular, but I'm super pleased with that. Okay, so let's look at the accessories real quick. You know, this looks fine. You know, it's interesting to see this scale where it's not quite 1/44th, but and then see the different interpretations at the different sizes. I mean, this looks standard. And there's something, and I've done this with some of the Gundam Universe figures, is the details. So let me talk about that as I go through the accessories, because you could, for instance, you know, cut out a little oval from a metallic sticker sheet, throw that on there. Easy way to get a lens, possibly even paint that. And then even some dry brushing of silver, or maybe some light gunmetal in some certain areas. I think that's an easy way that you could spruce this up and it could look cool. You know, I think the Heat Hawk is done fine. It's really nice that they actually put the yellow on there. Even you could go through maybe like with maybe a little bit of, how would you do it in reverse? Like a little orange, maybe closer to the end, and then a little bit of white at the tip, almost like it's heating up. I don't know. I've never tried that before, but I've seen that done a lot. Otherwise, I think it's really cool. It's pretty simple. And then as for the hands, like I said earlier, you know, it has the two closed fists. But what's very common with the these Gundam Universe figures is also come with a trigger finger hand and a sort of beam saber hand. More of it's kind of open, not quite trigger finger. But you know, they only come with one of each, and so that's something I have to look into. I wonder if how many other Gundam Universe figures actually make these the opposite, where there's a left. Was that? Is that left? Yeah, the left. There's a right beam hammer or a left trigger finger, so you can make them interchangeable. You know, because, you know, something, for instance, on the Strike Freedom, which, you know, the paint's been peeling, because I did multiple layers and I could have sealed it. But on the hand here, this is the one where I think I painted it gold. It might have not been super gold, because I think it is by default. And then I put white on the tops of the hands, just because, you know, those parts are not too accurate across the Gundam Universe. Okay, so for the Heat Hawk, Beam Saber, this fits and they're just fine. That's great. And then as for the gun, same thing, but that fell off. Although I want to mess around with that, so let's do that here for a second. So I can take off this hand, and in that place we can put the trigger finger hand with the machine gun. Okay, yeah, so this pops off easily, so we'll have to be careful with that. Let's see. And there's enough nice side to side for the gun, so you can really have it held pretty nicely, actually. That looks really good. Okay, and then for the other side, we're gonna put the Heat Hawk hand in there, and yeah, that looks great. Just him holding it looks great. They're very sturdy in here. They don't look like they're gonna fall or anything. So that is a plus, actually. For the limited accessories it does have, it still fills out Char, and they all work nice. But there's also the storage, so I'm curious about that. So there's a couple places. We've got the side skirt here, and that fits in. Both sides that fits. It's perfect. Even on the back, let's see. Yeah, even on the back, and we still get clearance even though the tubing is here, so that's great. Now, it doesn't look like the machine gun has any gun storage components on it, which I'm surprised about. But, that's okay. I think the fact that we have the storage for the other items in the first place is pretty cool. Especially considering that you have the separate machine gun magazine that almost seems like something they didn't need to do. I just wish you could then, store this somewhere. You know what would have been great also? Just at least coming with the bazooka. That way there is more to like storing everything. Because if I could store the Heat Hawk, have the bazooka on the back. I mean, if you don't have the magazine in the gun, what is Char doing, right? So there would be no reason to put the magazine on there unless you had another one to kind of show, oh, I have one, I'm putting on the other. You see what I mean? That's kind of getting in the nitty gritty. But I think it's cool though, and they have this kind of universal plug system for the machine gun ammo and the Heat Hawk. Okay, let's compare with some others from this line. For instance, the Zaku 2 from Requiem for Vengeance. You know what? I would love to go back through and detail this. I think someone on the GE server did. If you want to go check that out, the Discord server. It would be fun to detail this. I think I said this in the review, right? But anyway, you can kind of see, and I appreciate this about this Gundam Universe line, is these are both Zaku 2s, but they are both completely different as they match their source material, Requiem for Vengeance, Gundam Origin specifically. That's what makes it fun about collecting these, because they can come out with variants. For instance, here's a variant RX-78-2. That's just awesome because it has more of the muted colors. It has all the real type markings, white base on there. This is really cool until they get the Origin version out, whenever they do. In the meantime, it goes great with this Origin Char Zaku too. And I also want to do a quick comparison with the Requiem for Vengeance Gundam EX. There's still something about this figure that it almost seems like it was developed independently. And maybe this is part of the new engineering we're getting. They're re-releasing a Unicorn, the original Gundam, and I think the Wing and Epion, I don't know, they have the new engineering for this Gundam Universe line. And, other than this missing the machine gun backpack, which it should have, this figure, I think, is top tier. Like, I would love a Robot Spirits, but the fact that they were actually at least selling this right after Requiem for Vengeance is awesome. So really, it was a surprise to see this at Target. I mean, I'm talking about little kid surprise. Like when I would go to Kroger with my mom when I was a kid and, oh, look, it's Raphael. I need all 4 Ninja Turtles. I don't have Raphael yet. And that joy of like, because how would you know, how easy is it to find, was it to find things back then? Because, you wouldn't even sometimes know a toy line would come out. 95 or whenever that Star Wars came back with Power of the Force. I remember being in Walmart and seeing it and it blowing my mind, but everything was sold out except for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I got Obi-Wan Kenobi. That was the craziest thing for me. So there was a little bit of joy of that when I was at Target today with my wife and looking at that aisle, just, just kind of, how couples do that on weekends, you go hang out at Target. But I did not think I would be seeing a Gundam Universe Char Zaku 2 Origin version. And I'm just giddy and excited. I didn't even cover the other real type marking on here. And it's the on the shield right here. So I got to say this is cool. And also, I'm curious too about when it comes to the Gundam action figures we collect and with, tariffs or prices for shipping or prices in general are going up. Like, does these become a more viable option, not only for us here in the West that maybe other than Robot Spirits, this would kind of be the action figure to have? You know what I mean? Like, what is that Gundam collectible if getting the imported high-end ones become too expensive? I know there was a Gobaldi I bought off Ami the other day, and I initially chose DHL, but then, they came back and said, no, we're gonna have to change the shipping on that. And I don't know if that's related, but I'm just curious if, and then to go further with this thought is, we're getting that new engineering with the Gundam Universe figure. So think about this. With this Gundam Universe line, they're re-releasing original figures with new engineering. And I feel like that says a lot about what Bandai thinks about this line of action figures, you know? Because again, as someone that can build Gunpla or afford the high-end figures, these almost seem like they are redundant, but I don't think so. I really do think there is a place for this type of figure, even though mostly in the circles, it's not talked about too much. You know, every once in a while, someone will bring up like, you know, that new Gundam or the G3 that was a Target exclusive. But I wonder in this time where there's, you know, the different types of adult collectors, if there really is a market. And I'd be interested to find that market. Anyway, that was just me talking about these figures because I think they're cool. I like action figures in general. But anyway, shout out to Art Rovo Gundam, sponsor of this channel and this video, and thanks to all the supporters that make this possible. Check the links in the description if that's something you're into, or check the link for our Discord. We have a lot of fun there, and really, if you check the Discord and you have Gundam Universe figures, please share photos of you, you know, using them, utilizing them. You know, and it's like that's kind of how I started this channel. I guess I'm going off again. Whereas I liked seeing reviews of Robot Spirits, and I didn't see many, but there were people that did it. But I felt like, oh, I want to add this excitement to it, lore excitement, and I think I'm feeling the same thing, you know, with this line. So anyway, that's me just talking again, padding the length of this. I don't think so. Anyway, all thanks for watching. See you next time. Be cool.